So many, many moons ago, um, I was spending time out in San Diego because my folks had moved out there. And I used to go up to the campus at UC San Diego. And a friend introduced me to a cafe there that was outside. It was all these different wooden platforms, and it was in the middle of this eucalyptus grove. And it was really a beautiful setting. And I loved going there and just sitting there with a cup of coffee and enjoying being in nature and enjoying seeing all the students. And I really love being around the university setting. I love schools. I love being around people who are up to interesting things. And so I would go there usually a couple times a week, and I would sit there and have my coffee and write in my journal. and and I met different people over time, and it was really a favorite place of mine. And so one day I was sitting there and just looking at all the different students and imagining all the interesting things that they were up to. And I had finished undergraduate, and I really missed school. And I was looking at all these students, and I started getting a bit envious. I was like, wow, I wish I could be in school again. And immediately the thought was sort of in my head. I mean, even implicit in what I was saying, I wish I could be in school, but I had an unnoticed belief that that wasn't something that I could do. Like, I had already gone to school, and I didn't really consider myself somebody who could go to grad school. And in that moment, I noticed the belief. It was actually a really wonderful thing. I realized, like, wow, I have this belief that my university days are over. And kind of in a flash, I just thought, well, what if it was possible for me to go back to school? I hadn't really considered it, and I thought, wow, that would be amazing. And immediately another thought came up, which was another sort of limiting belief, which was, oh, I'll never be able to get into grad school, and what would I study and all that stuff. But I was so excited about the idea that I just decided, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna research this and see what might come of it. And it was very exciting. So it was, I noticed that belief, and I let that belief sort of soften, and I just replaced it with a hypothesis of, or a postulate of, what if this was possible? And I started imagining what it would be like to go to school, even in a place like that, and how fun it would be to go to classes. And yeah, it would be difficult too, but it would be interesting and engaging, and I would get to meet all kinds of fascinating people. And so that's what I did. It was a long path after that. I started researching schools, and I applied, and actually applied to a bunch of schools, and I didn't get into anywhere. And then I applied again, and then finally I got in. But the reason I'm telling this story is, I've talked about beliefs and how they can sort of wall off our experience. But the tricky thing is, we're so acclimated to them that it's very hard to notice them. And it was very lucky that I just happened to notice it that day. It's as if you're walking down a hallway, and there's a wall that you're observing and that you're paying attention to, and you never touch that wall, because for you it's solid, it's real. Like, that describes the landscape. And then it's as if one day you touch it and your hand goes through the wall, and you realize, oh my gosh, this was something that somehow took form in my experience, and it doesn't have to be there. And in this case, I stumbled. I just stumbled into this idea of what if it was possible. I wasn't really that aware of beliefs and how they worked back then, or how to change them. I just was lucky enough in that moment to notice it, and to sort of shift it to, well, what if that wasn't a hard no? What if that was, a maybe? Maybe is a wonderful and powerful thing. So one thing you can do is, if there's anything that you're kind of noticing, like, wow, I would really like that, you could ask yourself, well, is there any reason why I couldn't have that? Or is there, what's getting in the way? What's stopping me? And write down everything, and then look at whatever you come up with and notice which ones of those are absolutes, like a physical wall, and which ones are beliefs or assumptions that you've taken on and accepted as real, when they can be questioned. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about the electric car, and nowadays they're so ubiquitous, and I mean, not just Teslas, but every company now, is coming out with an electric car, and it's a feasible option. Whereas before, the technology for electric cars has been there pretty much since the beginning of cars. What wasn't there was the battery technology. And so it's as if all this potential for the electric car had been sitting there all this time. And then the batteries advanced because of cell phones and the need for a cell phone to last long. And at a certain point, the battery for the cell phone got strong enough and small enough that that's what became the first batteries for electric cars. My understanding is the first Tesla battery was essentially like a bunch of cell phone batteries strapped together to make it strong enough to run the car, or something like that. So, that idea of an electric car, if you'd asked people for all those years in the interim, they would have said, it can't work. It's not possible. There's no way to power it with a big enough battery. And that would have seemed like a real belief, not a real belief, but a belief that was supported by reality. And it was at that time. But then reality changed, the battery changed, and all of a sudden a whole new industry sprung into place. So I encourage you to think about something that you're wanting to do. Maybe when you see other people's lives, you say, wow, that's really beautiful. I would like some of that for myself. And then you can ask again, like, is there anything that's stopping you? Is there anything that's literally in your way from getting what you want? And it might be like, oh, I'm not good at this, or I'm not able to learn, or I can't do school, or I can't work in a company. All those things are beliefs. And then you can start to question them. Well, what if that changed? What if that belief wasn't true? And see what begins to open up for you.